It's Two on the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of The Bridges of Madison County, Bronx Bombers, Riding the Midnight Express, and Dinner with Friends. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two on the Aisle. Good evening, I am Charles Gross.
And I am Leslie Hoban Blake. Hello.
And we have some wonderful shows and scenes from them to talk to you about.
Indeed.
Let's talk about The Bridges of Madison County. Now, this was a book, and it was a movie with Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood. And now it is a musical, book by Marcia Norman, music and lyrics by Jason Robert Brown, starring Kelly O'Hara and Stephen Pasquale. And the first thing you will probably notice is that they look a heck of a lot younger than Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood did in the movie. Second thing you will notice is how plain they made Kelly O'Hara look. I didn't think it was possible.
Well, as a brunette, too. You've never seen her as a
and
brunette.
she's a brunette, and she has an Italian accent.
A slight Italian
Yes. She plays the wife of a very amiable farmer, nicely played by Hunter Foster, who is bored with her life, and all of a sudden, Pasquale's character comes in. He's a photographer to shoot.
Well, wait. The husband goes away for a weekend.
The cousin goes away, yes, to a state fair.
Yes, right, okay.
Kind of like the one in the musical State Fair, with their two children, teenagers, and they've got a prize cow or prize bull.
It's a bull, I think.
Yeah. And this photographer shows up asking directions. He's there to photograph the covered bridges, and they end up having an affair at a time where people didn't do that. This is back in the 60s.
It's 65.
Yeah.
Specifically 65.
Right. And you have this beautiful operatic score, which Kelly O'Hara is perfect for. Lyrics, when I could hear them, really were for the most part not up to the score, to the music, which was disappointing. And again, Stephen Pasquale is also a lovely singer, and I'm a big fan of Kelly O'Hara. And if you enjoyed watching her take a shower in South Pacific, well, here you can watch her take a bath with a very strategically placed towel.
Well, what I think is interesting is that I come prepared to love Kelly O'Hara. I always do, no matter what. And even in Far From Heaven, when she was 4 months pregnant, and I made a comment about that, I still loved her because she can do no wrong. But Stephen Pasquale was the thing that was an eye-opener. Here's A Star Is Born with this show. I don't think the show is particularly good. I think there are a lot of mistakes made in adapting it to the stage, and I can tell you what I think they are if you want me to. But
well, here's my basic problem with them. Not once. I mean, you have two beautiful actors, beautiful, excellent singers, and there was no chemistry. I mean, this is supposed to be a passionate romance affair.
Yeah.
And I
that's
felt
a major.
Absolutely nothing. And I was sitting in front, and wow, it's really nice to sit in front because you can actually hear the orchestra coming from the instruments and the singers, which is a wonderful thing. And normally that intensifies what is being projected on stage. Well, I wasn't getting it.
Let's face something. First of all, she's supposed to be slightly older than she really is. I'm not sure whether he's supposed to be older or not. That would have been interesting if you'd had a slightly older actress playing with a younger man. That might have given it something. But the way it's written, there isn't any chemistry. It worked with Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep because they were Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep, and because on the big screen, and because there was no other stuff around. I don't remember Neighbors in that movie. I don't remember a state fair in that movie. It was them. It was them falling in love and being together, and then they consummated their love and to the swell of music and whatnot. Here, there was all this extra stuff that they didn't need. The neighbor looking through the window, like Bewitched, with the binoculars. Nonsense. And if she had all these neighbors, then she wouldn't be alone, and she wouldn't be open to this kind of thing happening.
But the interesting thing is, the neighbor, played by Cass Morton, who will always be I will always remember for Pump Boys and Dinettes, and she starts out as a bewitched Mrs. Kravitz-like neighbor, but she actually ends up being a close friend. And to me, the best part of the musical were the latter scenes with the neighbors, because the husband and wife expressing their affection for each other, but also the scenes from the state fair with Caitlin Cunin and Derek Cleo as the two children.
But they're not what it's about. Don't you see what he's done?
Yes, I do.
Here?
But that was the best part. But it is.
Okay, but that's not what the show is about, and that's why there's no chemistry. But that's why there's no chemistry.
And that stole the show. To me, these were the most emotionally honest.
You just said what's wrong with this it's supposed to be the love story of the two people, and it's not.
Right.
I felt that when he stood on the stage, I wanted him. I mean, there he was standing there, and he was gorgeous, and he was voices. Is that a tenor? I think he's a tenor. I don't really know those things.
Well, you know what? We have some scenes.
Yes.
So let's find out what they are
Okay.
and what they're singing, and let's take a look at the bridges of Madison County.
I can't tell you I know what the answer will be. It's impossible, but this is bigger than what we can see. This is destiny. We are tied, we are locked, we are bound. This will not be reversed or unwound. Whatever fate the stars are weaving, we're not breaking. I'm not leaving, and you and I, just one second, spinning by in just 1 second. You and I have just 1 second. And a million miles. All my life I have been. All my life I have been. You and I have just 1 second and a million miles to go.
Okay, beautifully. This could be an opera, practically.
Well, the songs, yeah, I could see it.
And
doing
Kelly
that.
O'Hara, who has this wonderful number about a country music singer, not in this show, it's in her nightclub act. I think it was tailored for her, as a country western singer who wants to be an opera performer.
Oh, that's very funny.
is well suited for it.
I would like to say one thing, and that is very quickly that I think for musical comedy fans, I think Kelly O'Hara is Meryl Streep. She's the Meryl Streep of the musical comedy world. I can't see anything that she can't do. Even though this wasn't the best role for her, she still did a really good job with it. That's
You know, I don't think both of them performed well, but they didn't play off each other very well. Blame that perhaps on the show itself.
and it's
I don't
Bartlett
know.
Sher, the director, so he can get heat out of a stone, man.
And
it's
I
not
would give
specific.
this 2.275, I think.
Yeah, that's generous.
Okay, what are you giving it?
2.5.
All right.
And those bridges were ridiculous. The outline of the bridges, that's ridiculous. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, and quickly, I also liked Hunter Foster.
Yeah, you said that already.
I did. Okay. No, I said I liked the kids.
Oh, you said
I
you
liked
liked
him
Hunter
too.
Foster when
Yeah,
he
and
came in. You said he was amiable.
He was
I
good.
listen when you talk,
And you
Charlie.
know why she wasn't as enamored
Because
with him?
that was what happened. It was 20 years after the war, and she was living as a farm wife. That wasn't the romantic American dream that she thought she was going to have. That's what the story's about.
All right. Send her a copy
anyway,
of Oklahoma.
Now we can go on to,
Yes.
to Bronx Bombers, which
Yes.
was a surprise to me, and the surprise of all things is it's going to close. In 2 weeks, it's whenever, I don't know when we're going to air, but it's closing after only a month's run, and I am so unhappy. I did not see, it's written by a guy named Eric Simonson, who wrote Lombardo, which you loved. Lombardi, sorry, this is a guy Lombardi. He wrote Lombardi, which you loved, Magic Bird, which I didn't see, and I'm not that much of a sports nut, but I do know baseball, and I'm a Mets fan, so I'm going in to see a show about the Yankees, and it's written by a guy who wrote a play that I didn't care for too much, and I was blown away by it. First of all, he got away from that A happens, then B happens, then C happens biographical thing. His people are Yogi Berra. There must have been more Yogi Berra-isms in that one show than maybe Yogi. Yogi once said, "I didn't say all those things I said." So I thought he thought that was funny.
Peter Scolari, who plays Yogi Berra, says that here too.
Yes.
In fact, and they want you to know it's Yogi Berra because,
they drop
within
all of them, right?
3 seconds after coming on stage, and he is an excellent Yogi Berra.
He doesn't
know him
from like him.
But he does here.
But he has the bowed legs.
You believe that's Yogi Berra
Yeah.
as soon as you see him.
But it's interesting because what he did was he took Simonson. I'm coming back to the writer again. Simonson took the year 1977, and he took one particular incident. The Yankees did not integrate 1947 or so was when Jackie Robinson was on the Dodgers.
1947?
Was it
later?
Was how much later? Whatever.
I
however
honestly, I
much
don't
later.
know.
1977, and Reggie Jackson is the first black player on the Yankees.
No.
Who know? Oh, Elston Howard.
Well, there was we meet him in the second act.
Oh yeah. Oh, no, you're right. I read something wrong in the notes. Okay, I read something wrong in the notes.
Right.
then.
It was.
No, it's Elston Howard. I know who it is.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go back over that. So what he does is the first act is pretty much a confrontation between Thurman Munson and Reggie Jackson, real people. And
well, more like between who was managing the Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson. Thurman Munson was the team captain. He was kind of in the middle of it.
But he didn't like Jackson. He didn't like Jackson because Jackson was a showboater, so he didn't like that. So the three, and Yogi is trying to calm the waters.
Right,
and
before
this
George gets there with his
yeah,
axe.
right. And this is
Steinway.
what's funny. I know it's funny if you know that Martin was fired 100 times after that.
Yes.
You know, and he was always worried about his job. But the second act was the revelation. Instead of going and then this happened and then that happened and blah, there's a Field of Dreams sequence where Yogi has a dream, and in the dream he figures out how to solve the problem. And in the dream, Babe Ruth comes and help me out here. Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio. And Thurman Munson,
Thurman Munson is not there.
And Lou Gehrig.
And Derek Jeter.
And Lou Gehrig. And the day that I saw it, Lou Gehrig Derek Jeter had just announced that he was going to retire.
Me too. So there was a certain point in having. But you know what? This is the problem that I have with the show. I did like Lombardi, and I knew pretty much nothing about Lombardi. I know a little more about the Yankees, but I didn't really enjoy the play because first of all, having Derek Jeter there, which I won't say it was inappropriate, but
it's a dream sequence. What's inappropriate about it?
Well, for one thing, he hadn't been born yet, so how?
It's a dream sequence.
But the point is, he's coming in and he knows how this is going to end.
Yeah.
So why not just say, Derek, what happens? No, one thinks about that.
Well, you're looking for logic in a dream, but this is Field of Dreams, where you had people who hadn't been born yet.
I am looking for some logic here because
Okay,
they go completely off.
It's a Fantasia.
They go
It
completely
was so great.
off plot, and the resolution is obviously it really wasn't such a big problem to begin with. I think the Yankees go on to have a pretty good season in '77.
But it was brilliant to have Babe Ruth come in and be Babe Ruth.
The idea was brilliant.
I loved
the
what
execution.
They did.
It was basically
it
was kind of a baseball dinner with friends.
Not at all. It was a Fantasia. It was not anything like that.
I'm not a big Fantasia
fan. And I did want to
fan.
say that a lot of these guys doubled, so that the guy who played Reggie Jackson in the beginning comes out and plays Elston Howard in the second one, and the guy Babe Ruth was the only guy playing him, and I'm afraid I don't know their names. Peter Scolari's real wife played Carmen, and she looked very much like the photograph
Tracy
outside of Carmen Barra, who was a really beautiful woman, and Yogi was a troll. I'm sorry. I mean, he was really unattractive.
He's still around, you know.
Well, I mean, then he is a troll. I'm sorry. Whatever. I don't mean.
Look, good performances, but it was dinner. And dinners can be pretty boring. I mean, maybe if I had gotten to sit and meet with all these people, I would have enjoyed it.
If you listen to them talking and asking questions they did ask questions about Derek. And each time when somebody came from another time, they would say, they got what now? How much money did you make?
Yeah.
So they did interact. I don't understand.
Oh, they did interact, but it just wasn't all that interesting.
Well,
they were talking shop.
Total miss.
And then all of a sudden the problem goes away.
I also thought that the designer.
I was disappointed.
I also thought the designer Beowulf Barrett, who used to design at my old theater, did a wonderful job of using that theater. He had the players
come in. This is that
Circle
in the Square.
Circle in the Square. He had the players, totally arena, and he had the players come in from all sides, and they were up in the bleachers, so to speak. And
there's a cute bit with Derek locking his car.
Yeah, and then at the end, when it's all there,
we have some scenes.
Okay.
So let's take a look at the Bronx Bombers.
Because that's what the Yankees are, more than anything else. Our team, always have been. And you, and Reggie, and Billy. And all the other guys got to find a way to become that team.
That's right. Yeah, I disagree.
What do you mean you disagree?
I disagree with just about everything you just said just now.
All of it?
Yes. I didn't come here to melt into someone else's idea of a team. And I don't know anything about Yankee Stadium and the Bombers or any of that other stuff. I didn't come here to be part of the Yankees, whatever that may mean to you or Thurman Munson or Billy Martin or anybody else for that matter. I came here to be Reggie Jackson. And as far as I can see, that's exactly why Mr. Steinbrenner brought me here. For me to be me, to bring the immensity that is Reggie Jackson.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
I don't know, Thurman. I can hardly comprehend it myself.
Whatever possessed George Steinbrenner to think it'd be a good idea to put those two men on the same team?
Oh, he's thinking in terms of numbers.
Oh, you mean money.
I mean butts in the seats.
Well, he'd do himself a favor by focusing on winning, because ultimately that's what's going to bring people to the Bronx.
Oh, he wants to win, I'm sure of that.
Well, then he should make a team.
Yeah, but Reggie Jackson sells tickets just like DiMaggio did. And Mickey and Lou and Babe before him. And the Yankees ain't had someone like that in a long time.
Wait a minute.
What?
Is Billy going to get fired?
That's a $28,000 question.
Spectacular! He from the front office? Are you one of Rupert's spies? Are you working for Rupert? My God, I'll knock you one of them.
That's Joe DiMaggio, babe.
Oh, who's that?
He came to the Yankees just after you left.
Oh, sorry, kid. Didn't recognize you without your pinstripes. Hey, you must be with the Black Yankees? Jesus, I'm sorry.
Your conclusion.
Well, as I said, just coming into this, I was really blown away by it. So I would give it 4.5. The thing is closing, so obviously you're closer to what the most people thought. I'm a vocal minority on this one.
Love the idea of it. Did not like the play. 2.5.
Okay.
All right. The Midnight Express with Billy Hayes. Now here,
Based on the movie of the same name with the same guy.
and the same book. Well, this is like The Bridges of Madison County. You have it started off as a book, it was a movie, and now it is a play, although not a musical. It is Billy Hayes, the man who lived it, with a one-man show basically telling the story. And there was a Q&A with him afterwards, and he basically said, you know, I thought people were tired of it, but there's a whole generation who was interested in hearing the story.
He's right, I'm tired of it.
Well, but you're the generation who had the book and had the movie. I think he was referring to
the new guys.
Yeah, people who may not be as familiar. And basically, he was arrested for trying to smuggle marijuana, or hashish, as he called it, out of Turkey.
Hashish and marijuana are not the same thing.
Oh,
Forgive me,
okay,
Charlie.
well,
It's okay.
Okay, he seemed to
No, they're not the same
insinuate that they were.
They're not.
Okay, well.
I don't mean
you
to
learn
show you that
something
I
new
know
every-
about drugs,
That's okay.
but nonetheless.
But you do. Anyway, the bottom line is, whatever it was, he was successful a couple of times, and I think on the fourth occasion he got caught. He was originally sentenced for 5 years, and then because Dixon was having his war on drugs, they bumped it up to 30 years, and he ultimately escaped and wrote the movie. And it is his story of the life in prison, and pretty much ends right after he escapes.
Yeah, which is what I don't understand. The man he's an actor. He does a very good job of acting himself. That's very nice. And it's directed by John Gould Rubin, who's a member of Labyrinth and is a director who knows what he's doing. There are no props. There are no photos. I was really upset about that. I mean, I guess I don't know what you'd show, the Turkish prison, I guess.
Maybe he doesn't want to go back to Turkey to take pictures.
It's possible, but there's no sense of time or place. He's just a guy telling a story about what happened to him.
Not unlike what Spalding Gray would have done.
No. Well, maybe.
Spalding would have had a table.
Spalding would have started here, told a story that went all the way around and did something else. This is a straight-through story.
True.
So that's
True,
not...
but the staging and the lack of multimedia.
But the thing that bothered me so much is this is what he spends his life doing. He was a punk kid who got arrested for first he dealt drugs, then he got arrested for smuggling drugs. And this has been his life. What has he done since? He's had a few parts in a few things. And I'm sorry, I'm upset by the fact that he's capitalizing on this again. I find it, it's not offensive, it's just why?
Because,
I know what he says. I know.
Because there are people who want
And who in the audience was under the age of 50?
You know, I really didn't look.
I looked. I didn't see anybody in the audience who looked anywhere near 30 or 40, trust me.
But yet people are coming to see him.
They are.
And
But
they are.
and
And
Bronx Bombers
and
is
here's the thing
closing.
for me, I never did see
Well then.
either the movie nor did I read the book. So I was hearing this from the first time, and there are a couple of corrections he makes to the movie along the way. I found him a very amiable performer, very watchable. I enjoyed hearing the story.
He plays himself very well.
Yeah, yes, he does.
He's the best him around.
All right.
at the
Yes,
moment.
Billy Hayes is the best Billy Hayes. And I enjoyed it.
Do we have some of that too?
No.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look.
Was arrested at the Istanbul airport October 7th, 1970, with 2 kilos of prime Turkish hashish, marijuana, taped all over my 23-year-old body. 5 years later, I make a much publicized escape from prison, step off a plane at Kennedy Airport into 100 shouting reporters, lights, cameras, people yelling questions. I write a book about my experience called Midnight Express, published in 18 languages and made into a film that premieres at the Cannes Film Festival in May of 1978, where I stand like a deer in the headlights in a white tuxedo, straight out of Saturday Night Fever. And I am officially announced to the whole world as an escaped convict drug smuggler. October 1970. The PLO had just blown up some hijacked jets out in the Jordanian desert, so I figure airport security worldwide has got to be on alert. I breezed through customs with the normal 2 kilos taped under my sweater, and they put us on a bus to take us out to the plane. And the bus stops, a Turkish cop steps on and stares down the aisle. Women, stay, men, out, back, out, out. And I look out the window at Turkish soldiers with rifles surrounding the plane. I find myself praying, please, Jesus, get me out of here. I will never do this again. But it's a Muslim country. I'm praying to the wrong God.
Okay. So if you've heard the story, or if you haven't, if you want to hear it from the man who lived it, there you have it.
There you go. Right. From the
And
man,
I'll give
the
it
man
three,
who
and I'll
knows.
give it 3.75, 3.75.
Two
Okay.
plays.
And finally,
The play we alluded to before, which is Dinner with Friends.
Dinner with Friends. This is a Pulitzer Prize winning play.
And it's my one to talk about.
Go
It's okay. They won the Pulitzer Prize in 2000. And in 2000, when I actually saw it in 1998 or 1999 in Louisville, which is where the Humanifest is and where a lot of new plays get their start. And Donald Margulies has started many of his plays down there, and we talked a lot about this play. And at the time that the play won the Pulitzer, I understood why. Watching it now, I don't understand why, because it is the story of 2 sets of friends. The one married couple who are foodies, they're food critics, and they have so much in common, and they just have a wonderful life. They travel and they cook and they eat. And the other are their 2 mismatched friends with whom they were set up by the first couple.
The foodie
years
couple.
before, the foodie people, possibly, what, 10 years before? It's about a 10-year
Yeah.
marriage. Okay. And the marriage is falling apart. You see them at dinner, and only one woman is there, and she immediately falls apart in front of her friend. And in the second scene, the husband is extraordinarily unhappy because she got to them first, and now she's going to get to keep them. And it's
Yes, in the settlement, who gets the friends?
who gets the friends. And what it's really about is not just who gets the friends, but how are the friends affected by a divorce. And of course, we extrapolate from this about ourselves, not about, And I have a feeling that maybe this was a little rawer even in 2000 than it is now. I just don't find anything innovative about it now. Maybe it was the production. It was directed by Pam McKinnon.
Maybe it was just a lot, very slim pickings in 2000 for the Pulitzer.
They don't have to give it. It's not a prize that has to be given.
You know what it reminded me of? There was an old TV show called 30-something.
Yes, very much.
Which
Very much.
everybody loved except me, because
Yes.
it had these couples, these 30-something yuppie couples who were just so obsessed with themselves.
Yeah.
And this is more of
I
the
agree.
same.
I agree.
I didn't like the TV show. I didn't like this.
I didn't think that at the time. I know I didn't. I was very taken with it. Maybe it was the
And I'm
other
thinking,
production. I didn't go back to
maybe-
see who did it originally. But Pat
maybe-
McKinnon directed the Virginia Wolf that blew me out of the theater. It
That
was
was
so
with,
astounding
the-
with
the-
Tracy Letts
yes.
last year.
Yeah.
So she's a wonderful director, and
Well,
Jeremy
she-
Shamos is one of my favorite actors, and he plays the foodie husband.
Yes.
But
And you have Marion Hinkle, Heather Burns, Darian Petit. And then these couples have children who we don't see.
Yeah, they're off-stage voices, which is cute. But I mean,
honestly, nothing much to this play.
No, and the furniture was all from Pottery Barn and Crate and Barrel. I found that very funny. I recognized pieces I've seen in the store. So they all look like people we know, you know.
Okay, well, and maybe they are, and then maybe they are people they know. Look, unfortunately, most of us are going to encounter friends who divorce.
Well,
I had a situation like that.
Well, that's it. But maybe we've gone past it, and now we all sort of take it for granted that, you know, maybe that's it. I don't know.
But in 2000, I don't think this was such a shock.
Did you get the husband or the wife in that case?
I'm sorry.
Which one did you get?
I got the wife.
See, that, excuse me. Does Margie know about this?
Walked right into that one,
did.
folks. All right.
So we have scenes from this as well.
Oh, we do? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's take a look.
I remember you. I do remember him.
I knew you would.
Wait, I don't think
At the wedding, I talked a lot to the woman you were with. She was the public defender.
Not anymore. I mean, she's still a public defender. I'm just not with her anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
Not necessarily.
She seemed great. As I recall, I talked to her a lot more than you did. Maybe if you'd paid more attention to her.
Moving right along.
You need me to be a mess. You're invested in it. Every Karen needs a Beth.
That really isn't fair.
We all play the parts we're handed. I was the mess, the ditz, the comic relief, and you got to be Miss Perfect. You know, everything just right, just the right wine, just the right spice, just the right husband. How was I supposed to compete with that?
Nobody was asking you to compete with anything.
Well, you're right, because there was no contest. I couldn't possibly reciprocate. I mean, the hostess gifts you would give me, I couldn't tell if you were being remedial or just plain hostile.
I had no idea you felt this way.
We all can't be like you, Karen. God knows I've tried. No matter how much I stir, my soup still sticks to the pot.
All right. In conclusion, it's a shame they don't actually serve the audience dinner, because I'm sure the dinners that this couple
That'd be interesting. I like shows where they do
would have been much more enjoyable than the play itself.
I think
I like the actors, but I'm only going to give this 2 playbills.
I think most of the other critics liked it better than you and I. I'm surprised. I didn't know how you felt about it, because we don't tend to talk about it till we get here. What did you give it? 2. Yeah, I'd agree too. Yeah, okay. It's a lukewarm production.
Right. And that's our show for the evening. And when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too,
on the aisle.